Have you ever looked into the darkness beneath you and realized something was looking back? I was 62 years old when I decided it might be time to quit diving. I'd spent over 40 years underwater, shipwrecks, reefs, caves, offshore dives, night dives. I'd seen sharks, moray eels, giant grouper, and more barracuda than I could count. The ocean had been my second home for most of my life, but age catches everyone. My knees ached more than they used to. My shoulders complained whenever I hauled tanks around. Recovery after a long dive took days instead of hours. I told myself I had one more season left, one more summer. Then I'd sell the gear, hang up my fins, and spend my weekends sitting on a porch somewhere instead of dropping into deep water. That mindset is what brought me to the coast of North Carolina, specifically the Byron D. Benson. The wreck sat off Morehead City, resting on the ocean floor like a rusted monument to forgotten history. I dived it before years earlier and always wanted one last look. The conditions that morning were nearly perfect. The sky was clear. The water was calm. Visibility was better than expected. The captain joked that the ocean was giving us a retirement gift. I laughed along with everyone else. If only I'd known. There were 6 divers on the boat. We geared up and rolled into the water one by one. The familiar sensation wrapped around me instantly. The cool embrace of the Atlantic, the hiss of my regulator, the weightlessness. Even after all those years, it felt like coming home. We descended down the line. The wreck slowly emerged from the blue haze beneath us. The Byron D. Benson looked eerie, as always. Its steel frame was coated in marine growth. Fish drifted through open sections of the hull. Shadows filled countless gaps and passageways. I landed on the seabed and took a moment to appreciate it. Maybe this really would be my final dive. Maybe this was the perfect way to end things. I began exploring. The others spread out nearby. Everything felt normal for the first 15 minutes. Then I noticed movement. A large shape passing through the visibility limit. At first, I didn't think much of it. Barracuda often gathered around wrecks. They were curious creatures. Sometimes they'd hover nearby, their silver bodies reflecting flashes of sunlight. I turned my light toward the movement. Several long shapes drifted just beyond visibility. Their silhouettes looked strange, too vertical, too upright. But underwater, perspective can play tricks on you. I assumed it was a school of barracuda, maybe positioned oddly in the current. I continued swimming. A few minutes later, I saw them again, closer. There were 5 shapes now, standing, somehow. The thought made no sense. Nothing stood underwater. The ocean wasn't a place for standing. Yet that's exactly what they looked like. Tall figures suspended vertically in the water, watching. I stopped finning. The figures stopped moving too. Every instinct I'd developed over decades underwater began whispering that something wasn't right. I shined my light directly at them. The beam barely reached. The shapes drifted backward, disappearing into darkness. I felt uneasy, not scared, just uneasy. I checked my gauges. Everything was fine. Air was good, depth was good, no problems. I decided I was imagining things, age, fatigue, too much coffee before the dive. There was always a rational explanation. Then I heard a sound, a clicking noise, soft, rhythmic, coming through the water. Click, click, click. Marine animals make sounds all the time. Dolphins, fish, crustaceans. But this sounded deliberate, like fingernails tapping glass. I turned slowly. One of the figures was behind me. Only 20 feet away, I nearly inhaled seawater. It wasn't a barracuda. It wasn't any fish I'd ever seen. It looked human, at least partially. Long, pale arms, a narrow torso, dark hair floating around its head. Its skin appeared gray beneath the water. Its eyes were enormous, completely black, and its mouth stretched far wider than any human mouth should. Rows of needle-like teeth filled a grin that looked impossible. The creature stared directly at me. Then it smiled wider. I jerked backward instinctively. The creature darted away, not swimming, launching, moving through the water with terrifying speed, gone in an instant. I sat frozen. My breathing accelerated. I could hear my regulator rattling. Years of dive training kicked in. Control breathing, stay calm, assess, think, hallucination. It had to be. Nitrogen narcosis, maybe. But I wasn't deep enough. Besides, I knew what narcosis felt like. This wasn't it. I looked around for the other divers. 2 were visible nearby. Neither seemed alarmed. Maybe they hadn't seen it. Maybe I hadn't seen it. I started heading toward them. That's when the clicking returned. Only now it came from every direction. Click, 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 click. The sound surrounded me. I spun slowly. Shapes emerged from the darkness. Not 5, not 10, dozens. They circled the wreck, moving silently, watching. My stomach dropped. The creatures varied in size. Some looked almost human. Others appeared larger, older. Their lower bodies ended in powerful tails covered in dark scales. The tails flexed slowly as they hovered. The creatures' arms were too long. Their fingers ended in claws. Every single one wore that same horrifying grin. The realization struck me like a hammer. Mermaids. The word sounded ridiculous, childish, impossible, yet nothing else fit. Not the beautiful creatures from fairy tales. Not harmless myths, predators, hunters. The kind of thing ancient sailors probably encountered before stories softened the truth. One of them opened its mouth. The clicking became a screech. The others answered. Suddenly, the entire school surged forward. I kicked hard toward the ascent line. Panic exploded through me. The creatures accelerated, the fastest thing I'd ever seen underwater. One reached a diver near the wreck. I watched it slam into him. Blood erupted instantly. A crimson cloud expanded through the water. The diver convulsed. 3 more creatures swarmed him. Their jaws tore into him. Chunks of flesh drifted free. I couldn't hear screams underwater, but I didn't need to. The violence spoke for itself. The other divers scattered. One tried swimming upward. Several creatures intercepted him. His tank spun away into darkness. Then he disappeared beneath a mass of twisting gray bodies. The ocean became chaos. Blood, bubbles, movement everywhere. I kicked harder than I thought possible. My legs burned. The ascent line seemed impossibly far away. A shadow appeared beside me. One of the creatures matched my speed effortlessly. Its black eyes studied me, curious, like a cat playing with a mouse. Its grin widened. Then it lunged. I swung my dive light. The metal housing struck the creature's face. The impact surprised both of us. It recoiled. Dark blood leaked from its cheek. The thing hissed. The sound vibrated through my chest. More creatures turned toward me. I realized something terrible. They weren't hunting randomly. They were communicating, coordinating, working together. The injured creature shrieked. The others immediately changed direction, toward me. I reached the ascent line. My hands grabbed it desperately. Then I began climbing. The creatures followed. 10 feet below, 20 feet below, 30. They moved effortlessly. One shot upward and seized my fin. Its claws pierced the rubber. I kicked violently. The fin tore loose. The creature vanished with it. I continued climbing. Every breath sounded louder, every second felt endless. The water above brightened. The boat was somewhere up there. Safety, air, life. A creature streaked past me. Its claws sliced across my arm. Pain exploded through my wetsuit. Blood spiraled into the water. The reaction was immediate. Every creature below surged upward, like sharks smelling blood. I climbed faster. I knew I couldn't outrun them. I only needed to reach the surface, just a little farther. The sunlight grew brighter. The hull of the dive boat appeared overhead. The creatures slowed. I noticed it instantly. They weren't following anymore. They hovered below, watching, waiting. Their black eyes tracked my ascent, not frustrated, not angry, patient, as if they knew something I didn't. I broke the surface. The crew immediately knew something was wrong. I was screaming before my regulator even left my mouth. The crew hauled me aboard. I tried explaining. The words sounded insane. Mermaids, monsters, attack, blood. The captain stared at me, then looked toward the water. We waited. Nobody else surfaced. Not one. The Coast Guard searched for days. They found debris, equipment, one tank, pieces of wetsuits, no bodies. The official report blamed sharks. Open water predation following an accident. A tragic loss. Case closed. No one believed my story. I don't blame them. I barely believed it myself. For months afterward, I questioned everything. Maybe trauma had distorted my memory. Maybe I'd suffered some kind of breakdown. Maybe there was another explanation. Then the package arrived. No return address. Inside was a waterproof dive slate. One of the missing divers had carried it. I recognized the scratches and markings immediately. There was writing on it, a single sentence, scrawled in panic. They look human until they smile. I sat staring at those words for a long time, because I had never told anyone that detail. Not investigators, not family, not friends, no one. Yet another diver had seen the exact same thing, the same smile, the same creatures. That was 4 years ago. I never dived again. My gear remains boxed up in the garage. People ask if I miss it. Sometimes. The ocean was my life. But there are things down there that don't belong in our world. Things older than ships, older than legends. Predators hidden beneath centuries of myths and fairy tales. Every so often, I still wake in the middle of the night. I'll be lying in bed, listening to the silence, and I'll hear it, that faint clicking sound. Click, 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 coming from somewhere outside my window. Whenever that happens, I keep the curtains closed, because a part of me fears what I might see if I looked, and a much larger part fears what might be looking back. If you enjoyed tonight's story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And if you have a creepy story of your own that you'd like featured on talesthyme, send it to talesthyme@gmail.com. Your story could be next.